sons and daughters.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Aurora Smedley podcast, where I speak with you about what the world needs to hear. And in this week's episode, I'm going to be discussing light revealing actions, which is actually a bit of a sequel to a previous episode, Levers in the Universe, which you can go back. I believe it's around episode 10 that I did that one. That was actually quite an interesting post and something that I've thought about a lot. And so this is kind of a development off of that idea. So if you want to go review that other podcast, you can go back to that one. So what is a light revealing action? So back when I discussed Levers in the Universe, I was speaking about how there are a certain few number of actions that will create a disproportionate number of results. And this is also carrying off of the idea of Wu Wei, which I've discussed with you all before as well. With the idea of Wu Wei is the idea of least effort, that we are not being lazy, but that we are choosing the right actions to make what we would like to reveal happen with the least amount of efforting. And with Levers in the Universe, I was specifically giving you a way of finding the actions that will create the most results with the least amount of efforting. So my concept of Levers in the Universe is almost like the way of finding the Wu Wei. But now in this episode, I'm going to develop off of this idea even a bit further with an idea that I'm going to call light revealing actions. And so what is a light revealing action? Well, in our soul's journey, according to Kabbalistic thought systems, we are here on earth in order to reveal light in the face of darkness. And so each time that we reveal light, despite the darkness, in the face of the darkness, is when we are actually elevating our soul and feeling growth and fulfillment and expansion. So essentially, if you are just doing the same things every day, but not pushing into the areas where you feel fear, doubt, restriction, and limitation, then you are not actually causing your soul to grow spiritually. Spiritually, your soul grows when you go into these areas of shadow and bring light to that darkness. And this is in areas of insecurity. This is in areas of restriction. This is in areas of limitation, of doubt, of fear, of shame. So as we go into these areas of doubt, fear, shame, and uncertainty, we expand ourselves and our spiritual being. So in this way, this is kind of a different view on spirituality than just be nice to other people or love other people. It's a bit more specific because sometimes we can be giving to other people from a place of love, and sometimes we are giving to other people from a place of fear. And so when we are giving to people from a place of fear, we actually are feeding our fear still by taking actions that are not forcing us to face our fear, face our delusions, and shift the fears, doubts, and limitations that we have. So this is something that I've been thinking about quite a bit recently as far as my music release, etc. I had a lot of fear around releasing the music. I just dropped my first song the Friday before last. And so this made me feel a lot of fear and uncertainty and vulnerability. And what I realized was that releasing this song for me was a significant light revealing action, in that it was drastically shifting myself to be something more than I was previously. What this has been making me think about is that I feel that the most growth happens when I ask myself the question, what action can I take that will fundamentally change who I am as a person? What action can I take that will fundamentally change who I am as a person? Because there are actions that we can take that simply maintain our previous conception of who we were. There are actions that we can take that simply reinforce our former self-concept. So I can take actions that demonstrate to myself that I am still at X level, right? Or I can take actions that demonstrate that I am expanding more. So, for instance, I have realized that I could go and start an infinite number of other businesses. I could do an infinite number of different careers than music, for example, which might be more straightforward, which might be more quote unquote easy. But what I realized is that there is no other career path that I can take that will make me feel that I am satisfied with my time here on earth, except for doing music. And that this is fundamentally what I was here to do. So regardless of what happens, this is my light revealing action. That embodying my music career is my light revealing action. It is the thing that is forcing me to overcome my fears, overcome my vulnerabilities, overcome my doubts, overcome the negative talk that I have in my head of saying that I don't believe myself, I have imposter syndrome, I feel scared, and that is being triggered by the negative comments and whatnot that I've been receiving on my posts. So as I spoke about in my last episode, I've been getting quite a bit of negative comments, things that are saying things that are actually very kind of intense, I would say. And I've gotten this onslaught of negativity in the release of this first song. And as I've been starting to promote it on social media for the first time, which is also new to me because posting every single day on social media is now a new practice of mine. And that is challenging in its own way. Because I'm putting myself out there. I feel like I look stupid, I look dumb, and yet I'm still going out there and posting this content that may or may not be cringy, and which, by the way, the negative comments say is absolutely cringy. So, but something else that I'm going to point out as well is that according to my spiritual mentor, and something that I have been seeing in my own life as well, is that when you are about to reveal an enormous amount of light, the amount of resistance that comes in is massive. So if you are going to reveal more light with a certain action, then there is a massive amount of resistance that the universe puts on right before you have your breakthrough. So in essence, you have to go through the valley of the shadow of death, so to speak, in order to get to your next breakthrough, your next emergence, your next level up. Because if there was no resistance, you would not have the opportunity to exercise your spiritual muscles, essentially. You can think of the universe, you can think of this world that we live in, this soul game that we're experiencing. You can think of it as it's almost like a soul gym. And that every time that you go through something really difficult, something that's really emotionally difficult, it's kind of like you're at the gym and the trainer is throwing on more and more weights or telling you to do more and more push-ups in order to strengthen your inner being. So I feel that, for example, when I was about to release this record this music video a week and a half ago, I got an enormous amount of resistance because there was an exceptional amount of light that was being revealed through the recording of the video. I do not know why. I'd say perhaps because it is the first video that I've done where I felt like I was totally out there with my creative vision. Like I was totally just putting my creative vision out there 100%, like taking the risk, doing something that felt like totally off the wall, etc. And as far as recording this video and releasing this first song, there's been an enormous amount of challenges and resistance that I've been experiencing in that regard. And when I finally went about to releasing the song got blocked from being released on Spotify because the song has the same name as the band Dire Straits. And so that was, and then it didn't upload to my Spotify profile properly. So now I have duplicate Spotify accounts for my music, which is kind of awkward. So there's just been all sorts of kind of strange hiccups that have come about around the release of this song, the recording of this music video, and me putting myself out there on social media. And I think all of this very clearly to me points to that there is a strong amount of resistance that the universe will put upon you when you are about to start revealing massive amounts of light in your own life. Basically, it's almost like the universe is purging this negativity from your system in order to clear what your previous limitations were. I think with all of these negative comments, I'm seeing it and I feel like, this is probably what I feel in my own head, which is now being manifested to me externally so that I can deal with it and clear it. That perhaps all of these negative comments that I'm seeing is a way of purifying me, of cleansing me, of elevating me to bring me to the next level so that I can become more for my music and my fans and for you guys. So I do feel that there is a reason for all of this, and thank you and everybody that has commented positively on my work or DM'd me. It really makes a difference because I do feel a lot of vulnerability in this time with this first release. And shout out as well to both Warren and Frank for being able to make the music video happen, because that is a big step forward for me and my career. So in all of this, I do think that I've had to deal with feeling like a fraud, feeling like an imposter. And I do think that we all feel like this when we are emerging into a larger self-concept. As we are becoming more than what we previously were, we feel this imposter syndrome. We feel this we feel the internal doubts and negativities and resistance, as well as apparently external ones too. So I do feel, however, that as you lean into these light revealing actions, this is how you become more as an individual and how you expand your beingness in the world. And something else that is expanding off of an idea from last week is that I also spoke about how you max out your effort and then leave the rest up to the universe. I saw a quote by Myron Golden where he said that you work like it's up to you and pray like it's up to God. And I really like this because it is, on one hand, separating from the man conquers nature perspective that I think a lot of Westerners have, and also stepping away from the passive Jesus take the wheel mindset where you're just praying but not doing anything. So I was speaking with one of my friends, and he actually pointed out to me that there is a Chinese proverb, which is 经人事听天命, which essentially means that you put in your utmost effort, you do everything that you can, and then you leave the rest to the universe. And I really feel that this is probably the most balanced form of fate versus free will, or determinism versus you taking your own actions. I think that it's actually that neither is true, that you do not have full control of your destiny, and destiny does not have full control over you, that there is a connection between fate and free will, and that your individual actions affect fate and fate affects you. However, I do feel that when you put in your 100% effort, you put in your 100%, you go your absolute best, then the universe comes and steps in at that point. And if you go only 90%, if you go only 80%, then the universe does not step in. And then you kind of stay in a perennial state of stasis because you are not going your 100%. I feel that once you go your 100%, you put in your maximum, your absolute best, then it's at that point that the universe steps in. With all of this, I hope that at this point you are perhaps reflecting on what the next light revealing action is in your life and what is really going to make the difference in your life. Today, that action for me was finishing my music video. I have actually 2 that I'm working on, and I finished one yesterday and I finished the other one today. Those are my light revealing actions for the day, and this is one of my light revealing actions for this evening. And I hope that this content is of great support for you as you continue to embody your dreams, revealing your dreams in the world. And thank you once again so much for joining me in this ongoing conversation through the camera. And I look forward to seeing you next week in the upcoming episode.